everyone, so today I'm going to be doing the classics tag. I was tagged by Where There's Ink, There's Paper, and I will leave a link to their blog down in the description. Unfortunately, I can't show you any of the physical books I'm going to mention as answers to the questions in this tag because all my books are in boxes. I'm not a massive classics reader. I do dabble. I do enjoy a good classic, but I'm much more of a contemporary reader, so I've really had to think about my answers for these questions. And the first one is an overhyped classic that you really didn't like, and for this I'm going to say Rudyard Kipling's The Jungle Book. I really don't like The Jungle Books. I really don't. In case you're not aware, Rudyard Kipling was just a little bit of a racist. Just a smidge racist. Very racist. He was very into colonialism, and that really comes through in the Jungle Books, and that is just something that I cannot get past. I cannot put that out of my mind when I've been reading the Jungle Books. And a lot of people might say that these are children's stories, stop projecting such a reading onto them, but it is really, really easy to do a post-colonial reading of the Jungle Books, and I can do that if any of you are interested. It is something that I did during a children's literature module I did in my second year of university, and I should still have all the source material and stuff for that, so if you're interested, let me know. Yeah, I just really don't like the Jungle Books. The second question is your favourite time period to read about, and I don't really feel like I have a proper answer for this because my favourite time period to read about is like now and like the past 10 years. One historical period that I really like reading about is in and around the Second World War, but a lot of the books that I read about that are written now about that period. I don't think I really have an answer for this. I have enjoyed a lot of Victorian literature. I really enjoy engaging with the history of social change, but I don't think I have a favourite time period to read about. I just like good books, no matter when they're set. Next is your favourite fairy tale, and I really love The Little Mermaid. I really enjoyed the Hans Christian Andersen Little Mermaid, and I really enjoy the Disney adaptation. I'm really interested in the representation of masculinity and femininity in the Disney version of The Little Mermaid, and it's much more complex than you might initially think. Like, there are so many positive elements and so many negative elements, and it's so interesting to research. Next is the classic that you haven't read and you are most embarrassed about having not read. And I'm not embarrassed to have not read any classics. Classics is such kind of a broad category that encompasses so many different genres. If you'd asked me this question a while ago, I probably would have said all of Jane Austen. But as you may know, because I mention it like every other video, I have started to read some Jane Austen for the first time. I've not read any of the like Greek classics, and that's something I would like to rectify one day, but it's not a goal for like the near future. The next question is your top 5 classics to read soon, and for this, my first one would be my next Austen novel. I'm not really sure which one to go for next. I'm thinking it might be Persuasion, but if you have any suggestions, do leave them down in the comments. I'd really like to read Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Considering how sunny it is at the minute, it would probably actually be a good time to read it now. And the next 3 will kind of be dictated by my module choices in university. I'm doing a Victorian Childhoods module, so fairly soon I will be reading Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, The Water Babies by Charles Kingsley, and The Mill on the Floss by George Eliot. Next is your favourite modern series or book based on a classic, and I struggled to think of an answer for this one for quite a while. One of the first ideas that I came to was The Bloody Chamber by Angela Carter, although that's probably a modern classic in its own right now. This is a bunch of fairy tale tellings with a kind of a feminist twist on them. It has retellings of Puss in Boots, The Snow Child, Little Red Riding Hood, Beauty and the Beast. There's a lot to do with gender, and it's very gothic. And also The Snow Child by Yoan Ivey. And obviously The Snow Child is based on The Snow Child. It's about a older couple in Alaska who have never had a child. One day they make a snow girl, and then suddenly a very mysterious little girl appears in their lives. It's a thoroughly just beautiful, very quiet book, but very touching. Next is your favorite movie or TV adaptation based on a classic, and I don't watch enough TV or film. I really don't, and that's something I'm trying to fix. I've not read the book, but I did really enjoy the film adaptation of Les Miserables. I'm not entirely caught up on it. I think I've only seen like the first season, but I really enjoyed Penny Dreadful, which obviously has like Dorian Gray and Frankenstein in it. Few other little gothic bits and pieces. Next is the worst classic to movie adaptation, and similar thing, I don't watch a huge amount of movies, unfortunately, something I'm trying to fix. But the one thing I could think of was there was an adaptation of Little Red Riding Hood a few years ago starring Amanda Seyfried and Gary Oldman, and it was just really, really bad. Next is the favourite editions of classics that you would like to collect, and my answer for this is kind of everything. I really love how collections of books look on shelves, everything from like Wordsworth and Collins classics all the way up to the Folio Society. As for classics that I kind of have a bit of a collection starting for, I really like the vintage Red Spines. I really love the Penguin English Library, I really love the Little Black Classic, and I really, really love the Wordsworth children's classics. I think the little illustrations on the cover are so nice. And finally is an underhyped classic, and bear with me on this one, because I'm gonna say Middlemarch by George Eliot. Middlemarch is kind of hailed as one of like the best novels of all time. So you might ask how I can say it's underhyped. Well, I don't hear that much about Middlemarch on BookTube. Maybe I'm just like missing all the Middlemarch talk, but I love Middlemarch and I want everyone to read it. I studied Middlemarch last semester and I'm still thinking about it. Like, I still stop and think about it quite a lot. It's a mammoth of a book. It is very chunky, but it is definitely worth it. It is just this one big look at a bunch of different interconnected individuals and how they influence each other's lives and how society functions and how we look at other people in society and class, and what it says about marriage and gender is brilliant. I just want more people to read it, and it got a lot of hate when I studied it, and it was only because people couldn't be bothered to read it. Okay, so now I need to tag some people. I am going to tag two Katies. I'm going to tag Katie from Katie Loves to Read and Katie from Books and Things, because I know they both read a fair amount of classics, although they may have done this tag before. Probably should have checked. That would be way too much organisation though. And also, if you are interested in doing this tag, do feel free to have a go. I really need to read more classics, I really do.